Welcome back, everyone, to SAFC Live. We are back here at the Stadium of Light in our studio, and we've just been watching the stream of Sunderland against Portsmouth down at Fratton Park, a game which has ended 4-0 to Portsmouth, and no one was expecting that. No one on either side.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. No, they've been in bad form themselves, haven't they? Haven't had a win in 8. We've been going great. A good 5-0 win in midweek, going down there full of confidence, and then, you not dressing up. Conditions came out on top, didn't they? Difficult to play, especially down either flank. As the game went on, the rain didn't ease off really, and we just found it difficult to get going from the first whistle really. You can resort to going back to basics in a way, stick 4-4-2, Ross Stewart and maybe Aidan O'Brien up top and just shell the ball long. We did still try to play out at times in that first half. We've seen it with Bailey Wright, and then they switched with Flanagan, came out on the left-hand side, and it was getting stuck under their feet, and it was difficult. But if you take the goals aside, and if we break them down, and we'll see them back in a minute, we didn't defend them well enough. It's as simple as that. You can look at the conditions and think, is the referee going to call it off? 3-0 down at half-time, you're coming out second half, and you're thinking it's not getting easier. Is he going to call it off? But he never. And we conceded again. So 4-0 down, that was game over. Any positives to come off? Not really, no. We came away with no injuries. That's the only positive to come out of the game, really. Interested to hear what Lee Johnson's got to say about it, but it's difficult. We just said off air there before we come on. I can't judge who's played well and who hasn't really played well in open play over the course of the 90 minutes because it was that difficult to judge. You can say from their point of view, Marcus has done well because he's involved in the goals. He's got himself a goal or two, and Harness as well. And that was from balls coming in. But when we break them down, we can look at how we should have defended them better. We'll
do that now, but I just want to remind people, if they want to be involved in the post-game programme, which is right now, use the hashtag AskDanny here on SFC Live, and you can be involved. Have your say about the goals, the conditions, the team selection, whatever you like, and we can discuss it here with Danny. Let's roll the highlights from this afternoon's game then, and Danny, you can talk us through some of the action.
Yeah, as we see it back, it was difficult, wasn't it? Early on, I thought, before the pitch got worse, you could just see it even early on, first few minutes, where there was puddles forming on the outsides of the pitch, really. But just conditions for me, you've got to appreciate the conditions. And you see now, Portsmouth getting in down that left-hand side, ball comes in, and the pitch, the conditions don't play a part in that for me. There, it comes to Harness, doesn't it? We've had chance to go and pick him up. We'll see it back, I think, now. As we're getting down, just see him in the middle of your picture there. You see, I think Luke O'Nine's never getting back. I think Sirkin has got to see him a little bit earlier and then go and get a bit tighter. He's had 3 touches, Harness. There, touch, bad touch behind him, in fact. Another touch to set himself, and then another touch to finish it. Because I think there, now he's got to be on him there, I think, Sirkin. As he has that second touch there, he's almost got to be block tackling him. Doesn't do so, gets a little nick off him, and it's in that bottom corner. And then we had 1 or 2 set plays. That was the best we had to go on really in that first half. Embleton putting the ball in there, just gets underneath it, whether the wind carries it as well and takes it out of play.
Can't really remember that many shots on goal from us this
afternoon. I don't think their goalie's had a save to make in the 90 minutes, has he? I don't think. We had the one late on, which we'll see, which went past his post from Sirkin. But this one here, it was a nice ball from Embleton into his path. It gets pulled back for the free kick. Freeman pulls him back on his shoulder. You see it now. Just there, it's a good first touch from O'Brien, takes it across him, Raggett comes across, makes a cracking challenge to be fair, but the ref goes back for the free kick, does the right thing, and then O'Nine's on it. He gets a bit of power on it, but it's always going over the crossbar, and the keeper's not troubled by it. You see from this angle now, he strikes it quite well, but it's always a yard over the bar, and Bazuma in goal, he's not troubled by it, and this is obviously our best opportunities, what we were getting. Is the second goal coming in now? Ball again down they're getting down our right hand side. We've got good numbers back there, but we're not locking on in the box. You see, it's Marcus does well. It's Harness again.
It's not a foul on O'Nine for you?
Well, no, it's not a foul. No, I've seen it a couple of times, and I think Luke O'Nine's looking for it. It goes down too easy. It's a loose ball between the two of them, and he's hoping that the referee gives it, and he doesn't. Then Harness is having 3 or 4 touches in that corner there, picks his spot. Little flick from Marquis, and then it's Brown, the left back, who's finding his way into the box, and no one's picking him up, and he's got an easy side foot into that bottom corner. Harness again involved, and a lot of their play was coming down our right hand side, and it's all coming from that corner there. You see it there, Harness again, 3-4 touches. Luke O'Nine getting back, slides, slips on his backside, and then Harness fires it over the crossbar. I think this is, well, it's not really a chance, is it? If anything, it's a ball comes in, the keeper gets under the flight of it, punches it up into the air, and then Luke O'Nien, just at the top of his jump, really, just trying to help it back into the area. Can't quite do so. And this is the one on half time. This is the third goal, isn't it? Flat free kick comes in. It's not a great cross in. You know, it's one of those. It's a standard free kick where you want somebody in that near post area. I think it's.
Is it
Sirkin's alongside Marcus. We're not sure who gets the touch, as we said there. Of course, Marcus is going to claim it. He's only on one goal at the start of play today. This angle here, really, it's a difficult one if it's not slowed down. Is he leaning across him, or does it come off Sirkin? Sirkin obviously doesn't want it, claim it, but Marcus does, so I'm sure they're going to give it to him. But no, that was us from the first half. Really, we're into the second half now. Another ball to throw into the box. I think Winchester's on it. It just doesn't get the connection right on it. You can see the big splash as he strikes the ball. Doesn't catch it right, and it's comfortable for the goalkeeper. And there's Portsmouth again. You see this here now. It's a few balls bouncing around, sloshing about in the puddles there in the box, and it comes to him. And there's the fourth one, pretty much from that same area as that one there. And you've got to give them credit, Portsmouth. Yeah, they puts the ball in, but look, we've got three centre halves in the box there now, and the ball comes in. And as you look up, we've got as the ball comes in, he's there. He's on the move. Marcus is on the move. He gets wrong side. He rolls Doyle. And this is the best angle to see. Yeah, he's on his blind side. He managed to get the wrong side of it. I don't think it is. You see Hoffman's arguing with the ref. He thinks it's a foul, but makes a save, and then he taps it in, and then the game's well and truly gone if it already wasn't. But we were feeding on scraps through the 90 minutes. If we're honest, I think the best chance we'll see is Sirkin's in a minute. This one comes out to Corey Evans. He catches it well, but the block's there, and they've done well, to be fair to them, in those situations when they needed to. Portsmouth, throwing their bodies on the line, getting those blocks in, and it was that type of match. You had to do the ugly side, and I feel that they've done it better than us in their 18-yard box. Just in again, this one here, is it late on where we're stretched, and that one there, I think, he goes to hit it first time. I think it's Tunnicliffe, wasn't it? Yeah, just doesn't sit for him, and then the only opportunity for him is to try and dink Hoffman, and he doesn't manage to get the loft on the ball. But
Gavin Bazzuno not affected. Not tested enough in the game.
No, he had a couple of these type of things really, with balls coming in from set plays where he did flap at one or two of them, didn't he? He didn't want to take the risk of trying to catch it.
And this was our best chance of the game.
Opportunity, and it's a half chance if anything. He does well to weave his way through. Sirkin gets it. It's never on his strong foot, as it. He's always see it there. He's going onto his right there, and then he's off balance and he strikes it. And we thought the keeper had touched it because it slowed down, but it was the puddle that slowed it down. But it was just past the goalkeeper's far post. So overall, yeah, he hasn't had a save to make, has he? Bazuma over the 90 minutes, and disappointing that we haven't worked him, but just disappointing with the result and say the performance overall.
Let's have a look at the scores from in and around EFL League One this afternoon then. Accrington 2, Ipswich 1, AFC Wimbledon 1, Burton 1, Bolton 2, Shrewsbury 1, Cheltenham 0, Rotherham 2, Crewe 2, Cambridge 2, Doncaster 2, MK Dons 1, Fleetwood 1, Charlton 2, Gillingham 0, Wigan 2, Lincoln 2, Plymouth 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Oxford 2, and Wycombe 4, Morecambe 3. Let's see what that does to the league table then. Sunderland, having played 10 games now, find themselves back in second on goal difference, and that's going to, it's harmed the goal difference this afternoon.
Well, it has, yeah, but we're back where we were really in terms of before Tuesday's game, aren't we? Wigan got beat. We had a good result in terms of our goal difference as well, went top, and then it's just flipped the other way around. They've gone to Gillingham. It'd be interesting to see what see the highlights later on this evening at all the games and see what the weather conditions were like around the grounds, really, how much it affected the results and performances of teams. But no, listen, it's a difficult one for us to take. Going down there, getting beat is one thing, but getting beat in the manner we did, in the goals we conceded, it's disappointing. But we can't dwell on it for too long. We've got to get ready to go again in the week. Yes, it's not a priority this season, the Papa Johns, of course it's not, but got to dust ourselves off and get ready. We're still in a great position. We've still got games in hand, a game in hand, and a lot of the teams in and around us as well. But just got to keep chipping away. Season's not even a quarter of the way old yet, as I've said before the game, and put it aside, and go again.
And do you think that's what the coaching staff and Lee Johnson will be saying to the players right now? They've got a heck of a long journey on the bus all the way back to Sunderland this evening. It's not going to be enjoyable, is it?
Yeah, Lee Johnson, I think, the type of character, it'll be hurting him, that will, getting beat in, whether we got beat 2-1 or 1-0 today, it'll be hurting, but getting beat 4-0, and as I said there, the manner in which we've conceded the goals, he will look at them, he'll perhaps watch the game on the way back, he's got a few hours to watch it, he'll assess it, where we could have done better, and he will have, on Monday, in the meeting room, they maybe watch the goals back, or he might think, no, let's put it to bed. We know it's not been good enough. I don't want to be too negative around the boys. Let's just put it to bed. Bad day at the office, bad conditions, all these types of things. Let's get ready to go again Tuesday. Get the lads up with a bright training session when they're back in. And but with his staff, he'll perhaps look at it as well in detail and think, we could do better in these situations. And set plays, we have talked about it. We haven't conceded off too many earlier in the season, but we haven't looked great. We've given chances away to the opposition. We've not been picking up tight. We've seen lads who were 5-10 yards free at the back post, haven't we, earlier in the season? So it's something he will need to address. But no, as disappointed as he is, he won't want to dwell on it too long either, as much as the players. And
it's our job here at SAFC Live to try and find some positives from this afternoon. And I guess no one seemed to be injured. You've got to take that, as best you can.
That's it, yeah. Injuries is the one, isn't it? I think you come away from there, them conditions, as we spoke about in commentary, is you can see lads flying in for loose balls. When it's getting stuck in puddles and that, it becomes a loose ball, and two players going wholehearted for the ball.
It really spoiled it, didn't it? Because these two teams, with the little recent history they've got, this should be a great game of football for the neutral, never mind both sets of fans.
Yeah.
Because Sunderland fans travelled in their thousands down to the south coast this afternoon wanting to see a good game of football. It really spoiled the conditions, didn't it?
It went away from that, didn't it? It become a bit of a farce, if we're honest. Almost.
But let's expand on the conversation about the conditions then. Results aside, we've seen through the goals. You've given your professional opinion on why they were bad goals to concede.
Yes.
Let's talk about the conditions now then. Now, you said in commentary, we've seen it, the Stadium of Light, and many fans who are in early will see if it's been bad weather.
Yeah.
Referee will come out and throw the ball if the ball's moving freely.
It's good to go ahead.
It's good to go ahead.
Yeah.
Why isn't that not a consideration, not just half-time, but during the first half, and then certainly during the second half when it got considerably
exactly that.
worse?
I'm sure Lee Johnson is asked that question. We've seen him at 89 minutes on the clock there. Now, I'm sure prior to that, he's been in the fourth official, so he knows the game's gone. 3-0, we're done. Come out second half, can we get a little bit of pride out of the game? Maybe win the half 1-0 or, certainly keep a clean sheet, one or two positives, but we've never done that. So it goes back to your question. It was running okay through the middle of the pitch. Now, whether the referee deems it okay because it's not boggy in all areas of the pitch, I don't get that.
But it was the four corners. Every
18-yard box. It's that square, really. It was horrific, and it was. And as you see, lads were trying to run, it was stopping. He'd lose the ball. And a Sunderland player like Carl Winchester and Marcus, for instance, there was one, wasn't there? Marcus nearly got in. He loses the ball. Winchester's trying to run. He loses the ball. Becomes a bit of a joke. So where does it become the point where you assess it and think, well, player safety is one thing, but then the game, it's unplayable as a game of football. And that's what it was. Down the strips outside the 18-yard box, really, especially towards the corners. So I'm sure Lee Johnson gets his time with the referee after the game. He'll go in there and ask the question.
But there's nothing can be done now. That's the most frustrating thing.
No, it's not, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say, because I'm sure he'll tell us. He's been in, I'm sure whoever interviews him asks those questions, because I would be. Lee, did you once question the ref or the fourth official as to why the game wasn't getting abandoned because of the conditions? And I'm sure he has, and I'm sure we'll find out. But where the ref sees the common sense in it, don't get me wrong, from Portsmouth's point of view, Danny Cowley is delighted the game hasn't been abandoned because he's 8 without a win, and he wants that game to go ahead. And he's finally chalked up 3 points on the board. Whether his job's under threat, I'm not too sure. But for a club like Portsmouth in League One, if they're not getting results 8 games in, then they're going to be getting questions asked. So they're not saying they've got away with one today, but I'm sure if common sense prevails there, that game should be getting abandoned, but it hasn't been, and that's where we're at with it.
It is, that's where we're at. Let's have some of your thoughts now using the hashtag AskDanny. This one's from Spencer, who says, never fancied a win today, but the conditions were outrageous. Danny, have you ever played in conditions like that?
Well, on to this first point there, he says, I've never fancied a win today. Is that prior to the conditions? I'm not sure why, because we've been in good form. We've had a good 5-0 in.
Maybe thought that Portsmouth might step up for the occasion.
Yeah, but, well, we haven't got a crystal ball in the room with us, have we? So I'm not sure. I fancied us.
He maybe had a bad feeling about it, and to be honest,
well,
Spencer, you were right.
Well, he was right, of course he was, yes. Mr. Spencer there, yes. So he wasn't too positive going into the game, was he? But no, I think if you ask most fans, why wouldn't you have been confident? We're top of the table. We've played well in the week. We've been playing well in general, really, at Wigan as well in the Cup.
And they hadn't been playing well.
And they hadn't been playing well. Yeah, they just lost to Burton the other night. So you'd fancy us as favourites. I know you can't write Portsmouth off. I've said that before the game. They've got players in the team. I said Marquis and Harness are the main two. And sure enough, they came out on top today. But yeah, the pitch comes into play. And the conditions came out on top. They adapted a little bit better than what we did. And he asked the question, have I ever played in conditions that bad? Going back to the game, what we mentioned, where we kicked off at the Stadium of Light. It was obviously around Christmas time against Fulham that time. The game got abandoned. They went 1-0 up, I think. And then George McCartney and I think it was Rory Delap, if memory serves me correctly, that they ran into each other. They couldn't slam the brakes on. I think it was George who got the nosebleed. Rory's ploughed into him, broke his nose. Snow was coming down. We were 1-0 down, I think, at the time. And the ref called it off. I think it was like 40 minutes into the game. I think it was Mike Riley that was reffing it. And the game got called off and we had to play it further on in the season. I think we won the game 2-1. So that was the right decision. Obviously, snow, you think, well, it was sitting on the pitch and that obviously played a bigger part in that. But, for me, if the game is getting spoilt by the balls not running truly on the pitch, as it should, what's the point in referees going out and testing the ball before the games where they go out? We've seen it last year against Plymouth, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm sure Plymouth came up, you're looking at the distance they've travelled and they wouldn't have wanted to have travelled down for another fixture later on in the season. So they would have been thinking, let's get the game on. And I think our ground staff actually worked well on the pitch because we were there 40 minutes before the game and we were thinking, this is getting called off.
Yeah.
But the game, they worked well on the pitch.
They aerated it, didn't they?
Yeah, that's
didn't
it,
see any of that going on.
Didn't see any of that going on. No, I think Spuggy and the ground staff here put the machine on where it spikes the pitch and it did run okay after that, to be fair, didn't it? No, we didn't see any of that, whether they had the old-fashioned going out with the forks, 3 or 4 groundsmen, but it never improved that today. If anything, it got worse. Yeah. So why wasn't the question asked to the referee?
Okay, then let's move on to the next one now, please. This one is for Mac, who we met at the last home game. Well, I did. You went against Bolton, so he watches from Poland, Mac. Thanks for watching again. He's got some facts here for you. In the 2018-19 season, Sunderland had 19 points after the first 10 league games. 2019-20, 16 points after 10 games. 2021, 18 after 10 this season after 10 matches. We have 22 points despite our defeat today. I think we are well on our way to promotion. That's a good positive, asked Danny from Mac.
Well, it's another one to take out of today, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, it's the most points we've had after 10 games at this stage of the season. We're at that stage now where the table is taking its shape, as we've discussed before. You get between 5 and 10 games in, it starts to take shape. And we're right up there still. Of course, we are disappointing as it is. We've been beat. Wigan have won. Leapfrog back over us and go back top of the table. But, we're just under a quarter of the way through the season. So, yeah, people talk about having that 2 points a game sort of ratio, really. So we're ahead of that at this moment in time. A lot of games to go, a lot of football to be played. I know I've had people asking me about the January window already as well. Are we going to sign players in January? I'm thinking a lot of football to be played before we get to January. Let's worry about where we're at now. Bit of a cliche, and I'm sure, managers do it. They have these little gaps, windows of 3 and 5 games they'll have in their office, and we've done it in meeting rooms ourselves where you look at 5 games, how many points are we looking to take from this? You assess the games and maybe the opposition of where they're sat in the table. That doesn't always work out like that, So as long as you can keep it to this point ratio of 2 per game, then you're always in with a good shout. And at this moment in time, that's where we're at. And as he says, we're well on our way to promotion. Trying not to get too far ahead of ourselves just at this minute, but we've seen a lot more positives this season than negatives so far. So keep the faith.
Yep, nice positivity, Mac. Let's move on to the next one. Red and White, Haddock, a regular contributor, says, I know the conditions were bad and the game probably would have been abandoned had it been a more respectable score at half-time. But do you think we competed well enough all over the pitch, Danny?
I think over the pitch, in general play, yes, because it was a lot of loose balls, because neither team could really get going. It was loose ball after loose ball, wasn't it? Sticking in puddles, and then it was a scrappy tackle, and who would come out with it? The main difference was, and obviously you look back at the goals, and if we broke them down then, and you look back at them, and they're always, I think when you look at goals, you always break them down. You always think as the team that's conceded, it's preventable somehow, very
So
rarely.
you learn from next time.
Yeah, you look at the goals we've conceded. We only conceded 7 before today. We're up
Yeah.
to 11 now. We've almost caught up to what we've conceded so far this season. And if you break all the goals down, you probably break the goals down and say, have the opposition been clasped in terms of their build-up play 4 or 5 passes through us where you stand there and applaud them. That was a great goal that you hold your hands up. Not really, have we? You look at the goals at Fleetwood, just thinking back really, and they've been disappointing goals. And you look at today's goals, if you break all 4 down, 3 of them came from that, well, all 4 have come from that similar area really, that left-hand corner of the box where they've got into the byline, they've pulled balls back. We could have locked on a little bit better, could have got blocks in a little bit better, and we haven't done so. I've said it there on commentary, and I've said I'm sure Lee Johnson will look at them and say similar. We could have been better, conditions aside. They didn't affect the goals today. So we could have been better, bigger, stronger, braver, getting our bodies in front of them, making those blocks, and we didn't do that. And ultimately, the balls ended up in the back of our net. And I feel sorry for Hoffman in a way, really.
Yeah.
Could he have done a lot more with the goals? I don't think he could have, really. Even the 4th one for Marcus, he's actually made a good save off the first one, hasn't he? Unfortunately, no one's there to bail him out and to follow up. And Marcus has tapped it in to give them the 4th. And it obviously flatters them over the course of the 90 minutes. I don't think it was a 4-0 game, but just the goal incidents aside, we should have been a lot better.
Okay then, thanks Red and White Haddock. I wonder if we can move on to the next one. Madrid Mackham. Jimmy, after seeing the ball getting stuck in the water on the wings, would you not think that the players would stop passing the ball to those areas? Well, it's hard though because, we do like to play those channels, don't we? And that's where Ross Stewart's found success, and then other players can come around, and Diaku in recent games has found success down those channels as well. So, but the thing is, if that becomes an issue, surely the game shouldn't be played then. Yeah,
you're almost taking out maybe a team's strength in a way, isn't it, really? You can see it first 20 minutes. We were trying to split and get it out of the goalkeeper. Hoffman was rolling out to Bailey Wright. There was 3 or 4 with Bailey Wright in the first few minutes where it's not his strongest foot either. The ball's getting rolled out to him. He's got a puddle to contend with, and he's got a man closing him down, whether it's Harness or Marquis closing him down, and a couple he put out of play or, try to force it down the line and give the ball away. So you can do 1 or 2 things, really. You can say as a goalkeeper, listen, lads, it's not the pitch to be playing these balls today. We've got to go back to basics in a way. Yeah. Just go long. You've got Ross Stewart up there. Ross is more than capable of holding, balls up with balls coming into him, or competing with Raggett and the other centre-halves with balls coming into him, and you've got to get bodies round him. We could have done that. But, as you say there, we have got a lot of joy this season of playing balls wide, and, Sir can get forward down the left, and it almost takes a weapon away from you in a way, really. But at the same time, it affected them as well. I think first half, it was weird. If you break the 4 segments down of the corners, the worst one seemed to be the bottom right, as we've seen it on camera, where Sirkin was. The other 2 not as bad higher up, but the furthest one where they created wasn't too wet in first half. Second half it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
But they got in there. It was running a bit freer down that far side where they got in. But as he says there, should you stop passing into those areas? Well, quite possibly that comes down to man management between yourselves as players, and maybe instructions coming in from the touchline as well from the coaching staff. So it's a bit of a hindsight one in a way, really. Certainly as a centre-half, if I'm out there today, I'm perhaps saying to Hoffman, listen, don't be rolling me. But we've seen it with Bazuna almost put them in trouble when they were 1-0 up. He tried to roll it out to Freeman, it was, sold him short. I'm saying there after that, using your experience, she's saying to your goalie, listen, just put the ball down and just clip a little ball in, and we'll go and compete in their final third of the pitch. Let's get the second balls. It becomes an ugly game. Yes, perhaps ourselves and Portsmouth are 2 footballing teams in this league, but you've got the conditions come out on top. Just go long, drop a ball in, and play from there.
Okay, let's move on to the next one then, please. This is the last one from Brad, who says, if you're the manager, what do you see in the dressing room tonight?
I think with Lee Johnson there, he'll come off, and whether he can calm down enough to just assess it as a whole, and rather than tear into the boys about the goals they've conceded. He'll be hurting that they've come down here. He knows the rivalry between ourselves and Portsmouth, which has been formed since we've been in League One. And he'll hear the crowd getting behind them. They're quite vocal, aren't they, Portsmouth? And a few songs, top of the league, you're having a laugh. I could hear that one coming out and all these things. So hopefully he comes away from that, sees where we are still in the table. We're still sat joint top of the table. We've had a great opening 10 games to the season.
So you say played 10, Lost 2, drawn 1.
Yes.
You'd take that before the season
and we're
started,
coming
wouldn't
into a break after the, coming up as well, international break coming up soon. But I think don't be too hard on the players. It's a difficult one. Well, it's a difficult one for me and you to assess as a whole in terms of open play and how the lads fared out there in terms of who had a good game, who never. But I think he's got to say, listen, lads, yes, I'll look back at the goals and perhaps we could have defended them better. But
there's almost like a caveat over the fixture, isn't there?
Yes.
In future, you'll see that it'll stand out like a sore thumb,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, why? And in brackets next to it, it should say weather conditions,
conditions
played their part.
affected it massively. Of
Yeah.
course it will do, yeah. So he'll say, don't be too hard on yourselves, boys. They've come off. They know it's not been great. It's one of those as the game goes on. They've conceded 4 goals. Heads will be down in the change rooms. It'll be quiet. But they get back on the bus. It's a long bus journey back if they're not flying back, to trek back for them on the bus. Just get your heads up. Look at the table as the lads do on their phones. And they see that we're still sat joint top of the table.
Yeah.
Get yourselves ready. Go again on Tuesday, as I've said. And I'm sure Lee Johnson's saying the same to them. So, there's a lot more positives outweighing the negatives so far this season.
And that's where we'll be here on SAFC Live. Next, in the studio on Tuesday evening, Danny, because it's pizza time. It's time for the EFL Trophy.
Yeah, back to the League Cup. And I think it's an opportunity for Lee Johnson. He'll rotate the squad again. As we've seen on Tuesday, we made 5 changes, another 3 today. Whether he tries to bring some of the 23s in to give them some game time, we'll have to wait and see. But he certainly won't want to be picking up any injuries in that competition. It's not a priority. Yes, we won it last season, but we know what the priority is this year. We're still in the League Cup, FA Cup to come, so we've a lot of games to come. Let's just try and stay injury-free in that competition.
Okay, then, Danny, thanks for being with us this afternoon. Okay, as Danny just said, we will be here on Tuesday evening. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff, that one, so make sure you make a note of that one. We'll be here on the programme from 6:30 in this studio as Sunderland travel down to Lincoln City for the first game in the EFL Trophy. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. I'm sorry about the disappointing result, but try and enjoy the rest of your weekends, and we'll see you soon.